Good afternoon, and welcome to today's VetNet Entrepreneurship Track presentation, where we will be discussing the Citi Salutes Realizing Your Dreams Business Plan competition. Today's area of focus will be the industry analysis, where we will be talking about assessing the industry in which you will operate, the definition, size, structure, trends, and more, the company, products and services to be sold, differentiation, and creating barriers to entry. My name is Mike Shanik, and I'm a program manager for VetNet here at the Institute for Veterans and Military Families at Syracuse University. I also act as the Roots of Business program manager. Before we get started, just a few housekeeping notes for how to participate and how to ask questions. If you're participating live in the Hangout, please feel free to obviously just speak up and voice your question to Mirza, or you can type it also out in the group chat function by hovering over the left side of your screen, clicking the icon that says group chat. That will bring up a function on your right, and you can type your question there. Those of you watching live out on our YouTube stream, please feel free to type your questions there, and we will relay them to Mirza. And you can also type your questions on the Google Plus event page and make sure that they are relayed. So now I'll turn things over to Mirza Tahich, who's our Director of Programmatic Support Services here at the Institute, and he will field your questions.
All right, thanks, Mike, and welcome everybody again to Office Hours. As Mike mentioned, today we're talking about really industry and the company section. So I hope everybody has watched the session 2 video on our library, and also we shared with you. Highly recommended. And I'm just going to try a quick overview summary, and then we can go into the questions. So if you can please, everybody, just tune your phones.
Looks like you're muted right now, Mirza.
Okay, I'm unmuted. So really the company section, this is where you want to identify your opportunity, what is the problem you're solving, and what is the solution. And solution typically is your product or service, or products and services. So it's highly recommended that you create a nice chart or matrix summarizing what the depth and breadth of your products and services is. We talked about the the breadth. The breadth is really how many different products do you offer. So if I have a coffee shop, I will have coffee, I'll have non-alcoholic beverages, I'll have pastries, I'll have teas. That's my breadth. That's different products that I'm selling. And then the depth would be, I have organic coffee, I have dark roast coffee, I have pike roast coffee, all those different variations of coffee. So that's the breadth. So you want to provide something like that, some quick matrix that will provide the reader understanding of what kind of products and services you will offer. That explained, you also want to go into really the industry, and the industry will help you with your company and that section in terms of recognizing how big opportunities overall, what are the trends in the industry happening, who are the big players, who are the competitors, what are they competing based upon. And when we talk about competitors, you have direct competitors, companies and organizations that sell same or similar products, indirect competitors, competitors that are really selling substitutes, the next best alternative, and potential competitors are the ones that really don't sell but still in the same industry, so that one day they could be your competitor. An example of that would be, if you asked 10 years ago, would McDonald's play a role in the coffee business, you would say no, but today actually McDonald's has a McCoffee, right? So they have entered that industry even though they weren't really in the industry 10 years ago. So that's something you want to think about, who can also enter the industry and kind of be prepared on how to handle them, how to set yourself apart from them. Another part that you also covered in the industry section is the Porter's 5 forces. This helps you understand really how your competitors are competing with each other, what is the basis of competition, what are some external forces that you have no chances of changing, but then also what are some forces that you can do internally to fill in those gaps that they're not doing. We shared information, we shared example of Zappos.com, which is an online shoe store. And if you look at that industry, anybody can open a shoe store. There's oversaturation of shoe stores everywhere, left and right, and the buyers have a buying power, high buying power. Why? Because I can choose where I want to go and shop. So Zappos recognized that buyers have a high buying power, so they focused all their differentiation on high customer services. And because of the high quality customer services, uh, because the buyers have the power, the buyers actually went to them because they provided the services they were looking for. So just a nutshell of how you can use industry analysis to identify what are the gaps, identify new opportunities, and help you position yourself within that industry. That said, I'll turn over to questions that you might have, and I will start with the first question that we have from Linda White. She's talking about that she's in aquaponic industry. She has aquaponic business. So I'll read her question aloud. She says there are no other aquaponic competitors within 100 miles that are in the aquaponic business. They are home-based that are not working with business license or have anything at any farmer's market or local grocery store that says grow by aquaponic. I see hydroponic lettuce. My biggest competitor, if he gets into business, is a developer who received $70 million 5 years ago from the city, has not yet begun anything except renovating the building he purchased. I've seen the artist renderings of the proposed aquaponics. It'll be a very big operation. I know I have home gardeners, organic soil farms, hydroponics, and various farmers markets. The hydroponics is the closest to being my competitor because they grow year-round, but they are not aquaponic. Who do you feel should be my main competitor? I currently have the one who has not started yet. So this is a great question, and this is really research you have to do yourself, based on, as I mentioned previously, kind of goes back what I said. Your direct competitor could be this guy who has won $5 million to create this big facility, but it could be also who's your indirect competitors, anybody who sells any next best alternatives. So you want to find out really those small mom and pop shops. You don't have to find out every one of them what they're doing. At least find 4 to 5 of them. Look at what they're doing. I highly recommend doing a competitor mapping. It is a matrix where you would identify, let's say on the top, in the top row, we identify competitor A, B, C, D, and F and G, and then in the rows you do, yourself, competitor A. Sorry, you identify then, pricing, aquaponic or hydroponic, organic or non-organic, what products they have. Do they focus only on single vegetable or fruit, or do they do all of them? So you identify all these different variables, and then you see, okay, who's doing what, and what are the gaps. And based on those gaps, actually, you can find space to differentiate yourself and be different than your competitors. So that's the way how you can approach. I will still look at all direct competitors, indirect, and potential competitors. Anybody who's kind of in that business closely to you, and you have seen that they have kind of transitioning into that field. I hope that answered the question. Rosemary has another question. How do I find about the veterans who might want to take advantage of my service? I looked through the VA figures and stats. I cannot figure out how to find information. There are groups that are doing audio accounts of veteran stories, but not like mine that produces a paperback to pass down to future generations. How do I find out about the veterans who might want to take services? So, Rosemary, I see you are on the in video chat. Would you be able to talk and kind of explain further, kind of clarify what your concern is?
Yes, but I haven't gotten all professional looking to get on this, so I don't know if
that's okay. That's okay. You can just put a picture of yourself, and as long as we can hear you, you should be fine.
All right. Well, I'm doing veteran stories for veterans to save their recollections and their memories. And I'm finishing up a nurse's story right now, and she's really loving it. I've settled on a price point that won't kill me and won't have me just giving it away, which would be nice, but I do need to make a profit. It's hard to find when I look through. The VA seems to be the best place to look, and I seem to find, how many veterans there are, which wars, all of that, but I'm not sure how to get the information about who's going to buy my service, basically.
So that information you're looking is not really industry research, it's more market research, which we will talk next week. And the market research, I think the good starting point is that one nurse that you just did the work with her. We kind of want to figure out what her demographics are, psychographics, and figure out based on that we are more of her, and that's a good starting point. So you have to have kind of a good idea of what the demographics are of your customers, and then based on that maybe you want to conduct some interviews, some focus groups, to figure out really who amongst the veterans is willing and able to work with you and buy a product. Not every veteran will, so you want to figure out who it is. And once you know who they are, then you have to figure out where they are, and by doing that research and talking to them directly, you'll be able to find it out. Not maybe only directly talking to them, but once you know who they are, you can also talk maybe to some case workers at the VA. You can talk to some organizations that are veteran service organizations that serve that population, and through them you might be able to get access to them as well.
So surveys would probably be a good idea.
Surveys is a great idea. I recommend survey doing at the end, because you want to really talk to people right now, especially the ones who have been using your service now. So if you have that one lady, talk to her, figure out her demographics, why she chose your product or services. Is it just because she knows you personally and she wanted to work with you, or is it something really that she loves it, and why does she love it? What is the value for her? And once you know what the value is for her, then you can leverage that and talk to more veterans who perceive the same value as well.
Okay, thank you.
Sure, anytime. Are there any other questions on YouTube or Google Plus related to our industry and company?
No questions out there right now, Mirza, but I saw Becky just joined, and we'll keep an eye out there for more.
Becky, Gary, Rosemary, any additional questions that you might have, concerns, challenges you faced while working on your company and industry?
Am I on mute?
No, we can hear you.
I can hear you.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm supposed to type my question. I'm calling from a mobile phone. But regarding my industry, it's the aging population and
Becky, you're breaking up. Is it just me?
Healthcare with providing services.
It seems like she's breaking up for all of us.
For older adults. So,
Becky, it seems like you're breaking up. Are you able to type your question in? Do you have the functionality, or are you just calling in? We'll give that a second. I'll type it out in the chat box to see if we can.
Okay. I was about to do it, but go ahead, please. And just a quick reminder to everybody, I believe I mentioned it last time, when you do your industry research and market research, if you connect with your local small business development center, women business center, I believe also SCORE, they do have a centralized library for each state, and the librarians can put together a nice industry report for you. It takes about 3 to 4 weeks to get it, but it's an amazing report. It provides a great overview of your industry, what's going on in this industry, but also helps you identify some gaps specific to your region sometimes. Again, helping you and finding ways to differentiate and better and fine-tune your idea.
Looks like we have a question that came through from Mara.
Yeah. So Gary asked, did I say SBA, Small Business Development Center and Women Business Center, I believe also the VBUCs have the same thing. So if you reach out to them, set up an appointment with the small business advisor at any of them. If you already work with them, you feel free to send email and request the report from your advisor. So Mara Herbert asked a question. My business will cross over 2 different industries. It will offer a set of local pet services to companies as a new employee benefit. I'm having a difficult time learning about employee benefit industry. So it's perfectly fine when you see in the industry section and ask you to give a NAICS code of your industry. And a lot of businesses have multiple NAICS codes, which is perfectly fine. So if I'm selling cell phones, hardware, and I'm also providing and offering internet services, I might be in hardware and telecommunication industry. So I have two industries, which is perfectly fine. So Merit, in terms of that, I would look up what the employee benefit industry NAICS code is, and look at maybe trade associations, because there's a lot of trade associations for employee benefits. Look at the state. The state also has employee benefit regulations and information. So do some more research on that and find out what's going on. So I hope that helps. But it's just where you're looking at. So the state information, but also the library can help you if you contact also insurances or trade associations. They should be able to provide you some data for that. Next question. There again, my target audience is companies that offer cutting-edge employee benefits. A significant percent of Fortune 500 companies and many small employers offer group pet insurance now, and I think those would be potential clients. Yeah, that's fine. What I would do is, again, this is market research now. Reach out to some of these companies that are offering already, and call your competitors. Feel free to call your competitors. Tell them you're doing some research on this. Try to find more information. So it's perfectly fine to call your competitors. It's perfectly fine to call companies that are already using it to learn more why they're using it, what works, what doesn't work for them. Again, great research, because if they tell you, well, it's great, but I don't know, it doesn't work for certain pets, maybe something you can leverage and create a differentiating point for yourself to stand out from your competitors. Becky says, my industry is very specific, specialized, aging community with Alzheimer's and dementia. Is this too narrow? No, this is fine. Most probably when you do research, Becky, you won't be able to find maybe specific industry reports on Alzheimer's and dementia. You might be able to find maybe specific reports from a health perspective. Maybe some pharmaceutical companies might have those, or hospital agencies or World Health Organization might have those industry specific to the Alzheimer, in terms of how many people have Alzheimer and that information. So you look for that number more in scientific data. But in terms of industry, you can look at hospitalization. Is it senior living centers? I don't know exactly what services you're going to offer, but I will still look at the services that you're offering, what industry they fit in, and do the overall industry research. And then based on that, if it says there is U.S. serves 50 million people of the seniors that have, or let's say you are in senior housing business. This is just an example. And it says 20 million senior citizens are using senior housing services in the United States. And then you do some research in terms of scientific research, and you find out that in terms of Alzheimer and dementia, 5% of all the seniors are affected. So you take whatever the number of senior housing being served times 5% or 5%, so that will give you a market size or your industry size overall.
Great. Thank you.
Sure. Are there more questions? Feel free to be innovative, as long as, and the reason you're doing this is to really benefit yourself and learn more about what's going on in the industry, what are the trends, is this really feasible or not, and feel free to innovate. There's no set rule or set rule set in the stone that you have to follow. As long as you make sense of how you derive your numbers and you can explain how you got them, you should be fine. Don't try to make up things. Really dig in as much as you can, and if you have to make a guesstimate, also let us know in your business plan that you are estimating, and let us know what you base your estimate upon.
Mirza, what I'll do now, while we're waiting for any additional questions to come through, is just to introduce what session 3 is going to be, and give the timing for the office hours for that. So, session 3 The office hours are scheduled this Friday, January 16th, 12 to 1 p.m. Eastern. We will be discussing your market, which will include market definition and putting numbers on market size and potential, how your buyers buy and how to segment them and prioritize target audiences, how to analyze competitors and establish competitive positioning. So I know that we've seen a number of questions over the last 2 weeks come in surrounding market research and market data. So this is going to be the session that will be the primary focus surrounding these questions. So again, those office hours will be held this Friday, January 16th, 12 to 1 p.m. So we'll give it a few more minutes for any additional questions. Looks like we have a comment from Gary for Becky and Rosemary. He says when he did his research, he actually went to one of his potential competitors, and they were very helpful with information, especially with numbers. So that's a good strategy. Thanks, Gary, for sharing.
And be yourself. Don't try to lie. Just tell them, look, this is me. Tell your story. People love to hear a story. Explain why you're doing it. Give them your background. Sit down with them, have coffee. Always helps. Because remember one thing that you should have heard many times at any of our events, that entrepreneurs love helping other entrepreneurs. So if somebody sees that you're eager and working and diligent, trying to start a business, you know, that person, especially if he or she's an entrepreneur, most likely that person will also help you and guide you and provide you some assistance. And maybe even ask them to be mentored down the road as well. So Gary, I hope you're able to get that person to be a mentor or keep in touch with him or her.
So Mirza, we have a question that came in from Rosemary O'Brien, and if you don't mind, I'll field this one, just with my work with Team Red, White, and Blue. So Rosemary's question was, how do you reach out to veterans groups to find out if they want speakers other than just calling them? Is there a best practice to do this? They need to make them interested in telling their story. And then she goes on to say, I haven't found really any competitors who are producing her product. So, you know, what I'll say, Rosemary, is I'm chapter captain for Team Red, White, and Blue Syracuse. If you don't know what Team Red, White, and Blue is, we're a veteran service organization across the country aimed at the physical and social reintegration of returning service members and their families into the communities that they're going back to. You know, we often get these requests. What I'll say is, you know, you can call them. If you go out to these different groups' websites, typically they'll have a point of contact, maybe on the chapter level, maybe it will be at the national level. We're always very receptive at Team Red, White, and Blue to talk to folks, and I know that my work with the other veteran service organizations are always very receptive, so you might just need to keep your kind of nose to the grind. But, you know, phone calls, emails, get involved with them. So, you know, maybe it's not as much, it's just a sales pitch as, hey, you know, I'm a veteran myself, I'm out there, I'm participating in what you're doing, and that may be an organic way of getting to know the population where it doesn't just come across as a solicitation. So that would be my recommendation. Mirza, I don't know if you have anything else you'd like to add.
And Mike, when you want to pick somebody, is there specific things you look at? If they have a website, do you look at the social media and stuff? What helps you make a decision?
So, you know, first of all, word of mouth within the industry is huge. I know, Rosemary, you're just starting, but, you know, that's one of the ways we vet. Also, obviously, websites are great. Out on the websites, any referrals you can have that make mention of your service, or, you know, people are happy with what you're doing, that's great. You know, what I will say is you have to approach it in a very specific way, because as a leader of a veteran group and talking to other leaders, we do need to make sure that we're protecting our population and making sure, and Rosemary, obviously your service is going to be very unique, but we want to make sure that there's no one who's predatory towards our group. So I would just make sure that you clearly define what you're looking to do, so folks don't think you're coming in to try to take advantage of. And again, I'm not making reference that that's what you do, but that is one of the red flags that we always look for. Make sure that it's a properly vetted company or institution that we're going to work with.
And just that, the reason I asked Mike is really to give you an example of what they are looking at. So word of mouth is strong. How do you get word of mouth from others? Is that if I don't know that you're doing anything, then I can tell Mike, hey, look at, go maybe check out Rosemary. But if I'm since I follow you on Facebook, on social media, and I see you doing all these events or doing things, and I have this awareness in my head that Rosemary is a speaker. So next time Mike says, hey, I have to figure out, I have to find a cool speaker, I'll say, hey, how about Rosemary? So it's important that you build also a digital maybe brand using the social media. And save your date on January 21st. It's a Wednesday. We're going to have a webinar actually by somebody who is a great speaker and has built his speaking portfolio, so to say, and a brand, all by using digital media.
And I think that it's important, Mirza, I was going to mention, that also reach out to the local media. You know, maybe go, Rosemary, to your local VFW or your American Legion or whomever, and, you know, go and offer maybe a few free you know, services once or whatever it may be, or consultations or whatever it may be. But working with the local media, getting out there at, you know, Memorial Day and Veteran Day events, things like that, that goes a long way. It looks like she has another comment, Mears, and I'll let you comment a little bit on Rosies Network.
The things like Rosie Network make an impact on everything as a spouse. Can you elaborate what does Rosie Network means?
Well, Rosie Network, Mears, is what we're working with.
Yeah, I remember. Okay. Yeah, it helps. I think it's you have to do multiple things and to increase the frequency, because the key with marketing and branding is the frequency of how often individuals are exposed to the news or to the updates from your marketing. So if I only see something once, or if I only see it, let's say, on Facebook, you know, it's not going to create that much awareness. But if I see it everywhere I go, I see something about you, sticks in my head, and the likelihood of me remembering you increases as well. So the frequency is huge. As I mentioned, January 21st, I believe it's a Wednesday at 2 p.m. We're going to have a hangout with also an entrepreneur who's now a big speaker, and he'll talk about how to create how to use digital media to create brand or build a brand. And I think, Rosemary, you should, if you have a chance, try to participate, and you can ask him all these questions, because he has done an excellent job the last 3 or 4 years.
And Rosemary, I think one of the benefits of Rosie's Network is that word of mouth, especially amongst both the veterans, but also, like you're mentioning, the network of spouses. I think that's huge. So keep at it with that, and I think that, you know, that'll help or lend itself for some benefits. Okay, are there any more questions from the group, either on YouTube, the event page, or any of you folks who are participating live?
I can add another one, actually.
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
I am on everything. When I got this idea for Veteran Story, it's actually a service added on to Pocket Parks Publishing. And the entire class kind of passed their business cards back to me because they were interested. But that has, out of maybe about 30 people, I've gained 2, possibly 3 clients from that. And as a spouse, when I go to memorial services, for instance, I don't feel comfortable marketing, because we're there to honor, say, my town's veterans and such. And I don't feel comfortable handing out business cards, even unless somebody approaches me. If I just go to like the VFW or any of those, and like, what could I offer? For instance, as a writer, could I just offer maybe an hour's worth of, let me write down your memories and pass you a book, and would that be enough of a calling card? Like, I'm on everything. That's the thing. I just don't seem to know how to get clients.
And I don't know really what you do on everything, how often, but I think when you have this, the one I mentioned, you're going to have as a guest entrepreneur in 2 weeks, he always gives updates. Hey, I just spoke at this, so excited about this. He creates hype about all his speaking engagements. He knows his audience, so
okay.
It depends on, again, who the audience is and what you have to do. You have to understand their needs and how they buy. And I think you should talk to more individuals such as Mike here, or Mike, because he just gave you an example of how he goes about recruiting somebody. And I think, as I mentioned, going previously to what we chatted about, is why are you looking for a customer? So find out who really wants to buy your products or services. Do you already have one nurse? Talk to her, find out where you can find more like her, like what makes her unique. And once you have her, then you can target that market segment. But then if you want to be a speaker, that's a completely different ballgame. That's different customers. You can leverage your pocketbooks and the services you want to do, the veteran stories. You can leverage that to be a speaker, but it's a completely different ballgame. It's different customers now that you have to understand how they buy, how they go about using the products and services, and then you create different marketing plan to reach them as well.
Well, somebody had mentioned speaking as a way to get customers. So I would give my services away for free as far as speaking, to impress upon them the importance of telling their story. That would be really the reason I would be speaking.
Yeah. No, that's perfectly fine. So once you know who your target customers are for your veteran stories, then you have to know who they are, where you can find them, and then you go to organizations that serve them.
Okay.
And you still have to understand how they go about hiring speakers. So even if you want to do for free, you still have to understand what makes them hire speakers. What do you have to send? What, for example, you have to send a portfolio. You have to help tell a story. Maybe you have to do a PowerPoint presentation. I don't know. Maybe it's just having word of mouth where you can say, okay, my Facebook friends, I'm trying to speak at such and such organization. You know, if you know anybody there, help me get on the agenda or something like that of nature. So you have to again understand still how they go about bringing speakers in their organization. All right.
We have a question from Don McDaniel that is looking for more information on the speaker surrounding the digital marketing. Are you able to type or post the event details out on the Google Plus event page?
Yeah, it will be posted. I just confirmed the speaker yesterday, so I'll share it with Jim, and Jim will create a page and post it maybe in Google Plus. And we will also send it to, or we will send a reminder to all EBV graduates, and VWise graduates. So you should also get it in email.
And we'll make sure that link is posted on this event page. So office hours number 2, we'll make sure that link is posted on. Okay, do we have any other questions at this point for today's session? I'll give it a second, but again, it looks like we have one that came in from Anita Montgomery, and it's a comment. Rosemary, when marketing to our older veteran spouses, don't forget print media advertising, because they are less likely to have computers and social media. So that's a good point, and thanks for sharing, Anita. So I'll make mention once more of the next scheduled office hours, which is this Friday, January 16th, 12 to 1 p.m. Eastern. Again, we will be talking about your market and market definition. We'll talk about putting numbers on the market side and potential, how buyers buy and how to segment them and prioritize target audiences, how to analyze competitors and establish competitive positioning. So as with this, please feel free to bring your very focused questions, and we'd be happy to address them. You can also type those questions out on the event page prior to, and we'll make sure that they're addressed during the Hangout. It looks like we have one more comment from Don McDaniel. Mirza, do you have a time so I can reserve the calendar spot? Okay, so it looks like we'll let you two handle that offline, if that works.
Yeah, we can, once you... Don, if you want to stay online in the chat room, and then are you online, or is she here, or?
So she
okay,
looks like that's okay. Something else.
So Don, give me a call now if you want to talk now. I have a few minutes. 315-443-3445. Again, 315-443-3445. Thank you.
Thanks, Mirza. So with that being said, we will go ahead and close out today's Hangout. Thanks for all of you coming with your questions. And we look forward to seeing you on Friday. So have a great afternoon. And we'll talk soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.